This video was shot wide on purpose, so if you have a Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus, you can go ahead and hit that full screen button now and not have to worry about cutting off any part of the video. What's up guys, Eric here from TechEpisode TV, and today I have my top 5 cases for the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. I have the best slim case, the best medium-sized case, the best super rugged case, the best wallet case, and the best I can't believe this case is so small but still protects my phone this much case. These are all cases that I've done a lot of research on and I personally use on my devices. These are not cases that have just been sent to me from a bunch of manufacturers that I decided to do a video on. These are actually the cases that I personally bought and did research on and personally use on my devices that I recommend to people all the time. Before we start, there's a few things I want to point out really quick. All of these cases work with wireless charging and Samsung Pay, even this super big case here. And there are Amazon affiliate links down in the description, so if you see one of these cases and you really like it and you feel like being awesome, go ahead and buy the case through that Amazon affiliate link and I'll get a small kickback for that purchase at no extra cost to you. So if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it and it doesn't cost you anything. One last detail, there are time codes in the description for each of these cases, so if you want to skip around, go check the description and click the links there. Before we kick this off, I just want to point out really quick that the reason why you don't see UAG cases, OtterBox cases, or cases like that from those big manufacturers in this review is because while I do think that those cases are excellent cases, they do a great job of protecting your phone, I also think that they are way overpriced for what you get. All of these cases give you the same and some better protection than those other cases, but they cost often less than half the price of those other cases. So yeah, if you want to get a UAG case, you want to get an OtterBox, something like that, those are definitely going to protect your phone. They're going to be great cases for you. I just think they're a bit overpriced. So first up, we have the Spigen Neo Hybrid. This is a two-part case. The outside is a polycarbonate shell, which is a very hard plastic, and the inside is a thermoplastic polyurethane, which is a somewhat flexible plastic. And so when you put the two together, you get some pretty good protection for your Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus. On the back here, you can see that there is some Spigen branding, and if you look really closely, you can see that there is a kind of a pattern that goes up and down. I don't really know what to call this pattern, but it's there and it looks kind of cool. You can't really feel it. It's a very soft back. I mean, you can tell there's a slight texture there, but the back is overall very, very smooth, very nice and premium feeling. Let's go ahead and throw the phone in. So real quick, a lot of people sometimes seem to have a hard time putting cases on. What works for me, no matter what the case is, I put the bottom in first, and then I snap in one corner and then the other corner, and that generally works really well for me for getting cases on. So if you're having issues getting a case on, try that, and that usually works pretty well. Flipping over to the back, you can see that there's an amply sized cutout to get your finger in there for the fingerprint sensor. You also have plenty of room for your cameras, so they're not obstructed by this bezel in any way. And the same for your heart rate sensor. You can get your finger in there, no problem. Flipping over to the bottom, you can see that you have amply sized cutouts for all of your ports. And if I turn the phone a little bit, you can see that there is a decent sized lip on this phone. So that's going to let you lay this phone face down on the table and not have to worry about your screen touching the table. And it's also going to give you some decent drop protection, especially on hard surfaces, hard flat surfaces. No matter what, if you drop your phone on rocks or something like that, if a rock lands in the middle, it's going to hit the screen. No case is going to protect you from that. But still, if you drop it on any sort of flat surface, this is going to give you really good protection. I'd say you could definitely drop this from waist height a bunch of times. Maybe you're getting out of the car and this falls out of your pocket or falls off your lap or something like that. I don't think you should be worried about that at all with this case on. Head height, I'd say this could take a few head height drops, no problem, but I wouldn't make a habit of doing it. Also, taking a quick look at the buttons. The buttons are super tactile. They're super clicky, which is extremely important for a case because you press the buttons all the time during the day to either change the volume, turn your screen on, turn your screen off. And so if the buttons are hard to press or they just don't feel good, that makes the rest of the case just terrible in general. I don't care how good your case looks. If your buttons are bad, your case is bad. But the Spigen Neo Hybrid delivers with great buttons. Next up, we have the Spigen Tough Armor case. This is another one of my favorite cases because you get a decent amount of protection. The case feels really good, feels really premium in the hand. You get a little bit more protection than the Spigen Neo Hybrid. So if you tend to drop your phone more, maybe you got kids, you're probably going to want to look more towards something like this. And this is also a two-part case. You have a polycarbonate back plate and a thermoplastic polyurethane inner piece. And this is actually two pieces. So this thermoplastic polyurethane is a full case in and of itself, and then there's this polycarbonate shell that wraps around that full case to make both pieces. So you get really, really good protection with that. And as you can see, there's a kickstand here that I'll show you in a little bit, but first let's go ahead and throw the phone in. So again, Put the bottoms in first, and then pop the two top corners in. Phone pops in nice and easy. Flipping over to the back, you can see that you have ample space for your fingerprint sensor, cameras, and your heart rate sensor as well. You can get your finger in there nice and easy, no obstruction in any way at all. Even your fingerprint gestures are going to work just fine. The buttons on this are also super tactile, super clicky, so that's another great thing about this case. But what's even more awesome is they've added a texture to the Bixby button. So a lot of people accidentally press the Bixby button all the time. They think they're going to hit volume down, they accidentally hit the Bixby button. With this, the texture, you can feel it with your finger when you reach over, so you know, oh, that's not the volume button, that's the Bixby button. So it helps you to stop accidentally pressing the Bixby button. Very simple, but very smart move on Spigen's part. Looking down on the bottom, you can see that the cutouts are amply sized. You can get all of your plugs in there with no problem. Tilting the phone a bit, you can see that there is also a really good sized lip on this one. This is one of those phones you can definitely put it face down on the table and not have to worry about anything touching the screen. And you can do your waist height drops all day. Head height drops, I'd be comfortable dropping this all day head height as well. Again, I wouldn't make a habit of dropping the phone from head height regardless of which case you have, but I think that this one is definitely going to handle a good amount more head height drops than the Spigen Neo Hybrid is. Take a quick look at the kickstand. What's great about this is it can actually be used in both orientations. So you put your finger in there and you pull it out like this. It's not spring-loaded or anything, and it's not held in with a magnet. It's actually held in by pressure. So you push it in and it just kind of snaps into place. So I'm going to pull that back out, and you can hold it like this. And that's kind of good for if you're sitting kind of further away from the table and you want to look at something, that's a good way to do it. But if you're sitting close to a table, like you're at a desk, you can actually flip it around, and now it aims up more at you. So if you're sitting at a desk and you want it to be able to, watch a video or something and you're really close to the phone, this is a really great way to use it as well. And then when you're done, you just snap it back in and you're good to go. And what I love about this particular kickstand case is that the kickstand doesn't add a bunch of bulk. I mean, this is still a relatively slim case. So that's it for the Spigen Tough Armor. Now let's go ahead and check out the next one. Next up, we have the most rugged case of the bunch. This one's got a nice little trick up its sleeve. This one has the longest name of all the other cases. This is the UMaker kickstand with built-in screen protector, full body, heavy duty protection, shockproof case cover. Yeah, they didn't give this like a name like, Neo Hybrid or names like that. They literally just called it what it is, and that's just kind of the name of it. So that's kind of funny that they didn't really give it a name. They just gave it some super long title, and that's the name. But anyways, let's take a look at why I love this case so much. So this is a two-part case in the sense that you actually have a front cover, and as you can see, this is a screen protector as well that's built into the case. So you're getting maximum protection with this case. To separate the two halves is actually pretty difficult. There's a little notch here that you can get your thumb in, and so you put one thumb in this notch, one thumb towards the bottom, and then you put your fingers back here and you just kind of press in with these fingers while you're prying over this way, and that's going to free this corner. So I'll demonstrate that now. So I'm going to push those out, I'm going to pull in hard on that corner, and then that's going to free up the corner, as you can see. All right, and now the rest of it just pulls out nice and easy. So definitely hard to get started, but once you get it started, it's a lot easier to get the rest of it out. So to put your phone in, you need to put the front plate on first. So I'm going to go ahead and snap that into place. All right, there we go. And now this case I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm actually going to press the top in first. So I'm going to go ahead and push those top pieces in, and then I'm going to work my way down to the bottom and wrap those sides around, and I am good to go. Now, as you can see, there is a screen protector on this, but the touch sensitivity is actually really good. They really made this inside protector sit super flush against the screen. It honestly doesn't even feel like I have a screen protector on, which is very surprising, because a lot of times these built-in screen protectors just don't work that well, but even the screen protector itself has a curve around it, so it really does feel like there's no screen protector on this at all, which is very, very impressive. It's very responsive, and you don't need to turn on any increased screen sensitivity or anything like that. This just works really, really well. Looking at the top, you can also see that there are cutouts for all of your sensors and cameras to make sure that the screen protector doesn't interfere with any of that. And you also have a little cutout here for your speaker. Looking at the bottom, you can see that there are two covers that need to be pulled open to access your 3.5mm headphone jack or your USB-C charging port. Some people don't like these covers, so if you don't like it, you can just cut it off. That's fine. And then you also have a cutout for your speaker. Now, if I tilt this a little bit, you can see that this has a ton of protection. It's a really decent sized lip on the front, and that's going to give you plenty of drop protection. You can lay this face down on the table, no problem at all. And if I turn this back over and you look a little closer, you can see that the lip actually comes over the front of the screen and actually rests on top of the phone. Right through here, you can see that that lip is actually on top of the phone, giving you maximum protection. So this is definitely one of the most rugged cases. If I go anywhere where I think, man, if this thing drops, this is going to be a really bad day for me, then this is the case that I put on my phone. I've been using the UMaker cases for a while now. They are great cases. The buttons are very, very tactile, very, very clicky, which is very important. And on top of that, this one has a nice little trick up its sleeve. On the back here, this isn't just a little design pattern. If you pull on this, this actually turns into a kickstand. Not only that, but this kickstand works in landscape, obviously, but it also works in portrait. So if you want this sitting on your desk just like this, no problem. You can do that, and it works perfectly fine. And then when you're done with the kickstand case, you just press it back up and lock it back into place. So this is awesome. A lot of these super protective cases that you see on the market are wicked bulky, but they don't take any of that bulk and do anything functional with it outside of just protect your phone. And this one takes that bulk and throws in something functional without adding more bulk, which is why the UMaker makes it into this review and not a bunch of the other cases. While we're on the back here, I do want to point out that you do have ample space for your fingerprint sensor. You can get to that no problem. Your heart rate sensor is honestly a little bit harder to get to. I'm not going to lie about that. I think it's still going to be able to get your heart rate without a problem, but it is harder to get your finger in there. The cameras also have a decent cutout as well for them, so that those aren't going to be obstructed when you're taking pictures. I forgot to mention case materials before, so this has a bunch of different materials on it. So this on the inside here is like a softer touch rubber, feels sort of like a thermoplastic polyurethane. And these little nubs here are also a rubber type material that feel like a thermoplastic polyurethane, and these stick out further than everything else. So if you drop the phone on the back, these little nubs are going to touch first and absorb most of the impact, and that's going to be distributed to this next layer, which is a polycarbonate type material. And then if you go further out to the sides, you're back to a thermoplastic polyurethane type material that wraps all around the sides. And then this front piece, the part that actually covers the very front of your phone, this is again a polycarbonate. So they've got a lot of different materials that they're using here to protect your phone, and I think they did a really good job balancing which materials they used and where they put those materials. So obviously this is the most protective case that I have in the bunch here, and I'd say you'd be perfectly fine dropping this from head height dozens of times. I feel like you could throw this up in the air, you could throw this across the room, and this thing is just going to take a beating. Now, something that's not included, that used to be included with these UMaker cases, is a holster. Previous versions had a holster clip, and I haven't seen them offer that as an accessory or an attachment that you can get for this, so I don't know if this just doesn't support the holsters anymore, or if that's an option that may come sometime down the road. They may offer that as a separate accessory that you can get, but that's something that's not included in the box anymore, and I figured that's something that you guys should know. If you guys are looking for a really rugged case that has a holster, I recommend checking out the Supcase Unicorn Beetle case. I'll have a link in the description to check that one out. I've reviewed that case before. It's also an excellent case, does a really good job protecting your phone. It saved my phone plenty of times. However, the only reason that one didn't make it into this video is because that one doesn't add the kickstand. So if you don't care about the kickstand, you want a holster, check that one out. That's a great case. One more thing I forgot to point out is that this screen protector can be removed. It's just held in here with an adhesive along the edges. So if for some reason you don't want this screen protector, you can just pull it out. That's not a problem. Although getting it back in, I'd imagine, is going to be a little bit difficult. You may want to try to put some adhesive in there to get it to stick back in where it was before. Next up, we have the best wallet folio case. This is the Maxboost Wallet case. This one is super awesome for a number of reasons. One, this is like a pleather type material, but it does feel really nice. It has a magnetic clasp to keep it closed, which is also really nice. There are cutouts here for your speaker, which is also really important when you're making phone calls. You can bring your phone up to your ear, make the phone call without having to have this flap open, so it's very nice that they did include this. The other thing that makes this awesome is this is a full case inside of the wallet case. And the reason why this is so important is because if you didn't have all this protection on the corners and the bottom and the top, then if you dropped your phone, the only protection you get is this little material here and this little material on the back. And that's how a lot of wallet cases are. They just hold your phone in the corners, and then everything else is just fully exposed, and they don't really offer a lot of protection. So the reason why this one beat out the other cases is you get all the same functions of the other cases, but you also get more protection with this inner shell here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the phone in. Again, just put the bottom in and then press the corners in. just like so. And first thing I noticed when I tried this case on was that these buttons are wicked clicky. They are super tactile. Maxboost did an incredible job making these buttons just feel really, really good in the hand. They feel very responsive. I'm thoroughly impressed with these buttons. These are actually some of the best buttons of all these cases. All of these have excellent buttons, but these are just really impressive. It almost feels like you're just pressing the direct button, like there's nothing between your finger and the button. Obviously, besides the texture feels a little different, but the clickiness feels as if there is no case there. So really, really nice buttons on this. As you can see, you get 3 card slots here, and you also get a little pouch to put things like some cash or receipts or something like that. And on top of that, this bottom case piece flips out, and the purpose for that is that you can now use this in landscape mode. And here's another reason why this case I think is better than the other folio cases, is because this piece folds back and there's another magnetic piece on the back to hold it back. A lot of the other folio cases don't have that, so their flap just stays in front or just stays up the whole time, which sure, it doesn't get in the way of your screen, but I think it just looks kind of dumb like that. So the fact that they thought to give you a magnet on the back as well to get that out of the way is awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the case. So as you can see, there is an ample cutout here for your fingerprint sensor, your cameras, as well as your heart rate sensor. Now, the heart rate sensor cutout isn't quite as good. They've actually got, it's like a second layer here of protective case. So this is actually part of the inside case. As you can see, there's this little bar here. That's kind of obstructive to the heart rate sensor. So that's not really the best place for it. However, if you're using a folio case, chances are you're not bringing this case to a gym where you're going to want to check your heart rate with the sensor. But if you did, it is a little bit more difficult to get your finger in there, and I'm honestly not sure how well that heart rate sensor is going to work. But then again, I don't think you're going to use this case if you're in any type of environment where you're actually going to want to use that heart rate sensor. Flipping back over to the bottom, you can see that the cutouts are amply sized to give you access to all of your ports. And on the top, there's also a cutout as well for your other microphone. Drop protection with the case closed, I'm going to say is actually going to be really good, because you drop it on the face, you drop it on the back, it doesn't matter what you drop it on. As long as this case is closed, you can drop it on rocks, anything, and your phone's going to be perfectly fine. Dropping it on the bottom and the sides, I'd say if you drop it in the corner, you're going to be pretty good. Waist high drops, no problem. Head height, I'd be a little bit more concerned about dropping on the corner from head height, because this inside case isn't like some super protective case. I mean, it feels like it would do a decent job by itself, but I don't think it would do as good a job as the other cases if this was here without the wallet part of it. So again, waist height, no problem. Head height, you'd probably be okay, but I wouldn't make a habit of it. If you, for some reason, wanted to lay this face down on the table with the case open, you can do that. If I tilt this up here, you'll see that there is an amply sized lip there, so your screen is not going to touch the table at all. So it's another good feature on this case. I want to take a look back at the card section really quick, just to point out how many cards you can actually fit in here. Honestly, I only recommend putting in 3 cards, because if you put in a lot more than 3, like if you just stuff this thing full with like 8, 9 cards, which you can probably fit just fine, you're going to stretch this section out. And if one day you're like, you know what, I don't want 9 cards in there anymore, I just want to have, 3 cards in. Well, now you've just stretched the whole case out, you put your 3 cards in, you tip this upside down, they're just going to fall out. So I only recommend putting in 3 cards, maybe 4, 5 if you have to, but not much more than that, even if they fit. So that's it for the Maxboost Wallet case. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last case. Now, this one is not actually available yet for the S9 or S9 Plus. This is actually my case for the Galaxy Note 8, but I would highly recommend this because I had it on the Note 8 and I had it on the S8 and I loved it on both the devices, and I know that I'd love this case on the S9 Plus when it's eventually released as well. This is called the Crashguard bumper case. This is super thin, and I'm actually going to go grab my Note 8 right now to show you guys what it looks like on a phone. All right, so I've got my Note 8, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this case on. I put the bottom corners in first, and then press the top corners in. All right, now this case fits super snug, and the buttons are super tactile, super clicky, and it's just a really good case because, as you can see, the whole back is exposed, so you can see the awesome glass design, and whatever color you got for your phone, you'll be able to show that off, because a lot of times you get a phone, you get a case on it to protect your phone, and now no one can see the cool glass back or whatever cool color you got. Doesn't matter because you covered it up. But with this case, you can expose that and still get really good protection for your phone. The lips on this, if I tilt the phone, are really good size, so you can lay it face down and not have the glass touch. But if you turn it over to the back, you can see that that also has a decent sized lip, so no matter which way you put your phone down on the table, the glass is not going to touch. The drop protection on this is going to be really good because the bezels are a really good size, and it's so good that RhinoShield, the company that makes this case, says that it'll take an 11-foot drop, no problem. 11 feet is a foot higher than a basketball hoop. That is a huge drop, and after having used this case on 2 phones, I believe it. This thing can really take a beating, landing on any of the corners, the face, the sides. They did a really good job making this a super durable case, super protective case for your phone. Now, obviously, since the entire back of the glass is open, you are much more likely to get damage on this back plate if you drop it on rocks or anything like that, because there's just no protection for that at all. So if a rock comes and lands right in the middle, it's hitting your glass. There's no way around it. Whereas with these other cases, if you drop it on a rock and the rock lands like here in the middle or over here, you're going to be protected. So that is one of the sacrifices about this case, is that you're not going to be protected from dropping on rocks on the back. However, no matter which case you get, if you drop it on the front on a rock, you're still screwed, no matter what. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind, something that I wanted to point out to you guys. Looking at the cutouts on the bottom, they're amply sized for all of your ports. However, this headphone jack port is actually kind of on the small side. This will work for any of your small standard headphone jacks, but if you have anything that's remotely larger like this one, it's not actually going to fit all the way in. The case is going to stop it. And with a lot of these other cases, this would actually fit in there. So that's it for the RhinoShield Crashguard. Now I have one more bonus case to throw in here that didn't really fall into a category to make it a best case for a particular category, but I still think it's an awesome case. So I'm going to put this down and grab the other case. The bonus case is the Ringke Wave case. And the reason I like this case so much is because of the pattern. The pattern is just really cool. This is a 2-part case as well. This is like a polycarbonate material, and this is like a thermoplastic polyurethane. And just the way that the pattern looks, everything is just super cool about this case, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. Now, obviously, this case is not for the S9 or S9 Plus. You can get it for the S9 or S9 Plus. This is actually for my iPhone 10, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that in there. And the case just looks really good, I think. There's a bunch of different colors. I think I might have actually preferred the black over the white. I didn't get the black one, but if I had to do it again, I'd probably go with the black one, which is available for the S9 and the S9 Plus. The bezels are decent size on this one. If I tip the phone up, you can see there's a decent size lip for laying the phone face down on the table without any problems. Waist height drops, no problem. Head height, I think you do a pretty good job with head height drops with this one as well. And the buttons are super clicky, super tactile. So this is definitely one of those cases that I love, but didn't seem to fit anywhere in this top 5 category. So the top 5, well, kind of top 6 cases for the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. If I missed a case that you thought was awesome, let me know in the comments below and I'll check it out for future reviews. And don't forget to like the video if you liked it, share it if you loved it, and subscribe to see the rest of my Galaxy S9 coverage. And while you're at it, smack that notification bell so you can be the first to know when a new video drops. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.